Hello.
Hey, hi, Aline.
Okay, hello. Can everyone hear?
Yeah,
Hi. Okay, let me see. All right, so everyone's good to go?
yeah.
Oh, what was that? Okay.
Can you hear
All
me by
right,
my side?
so I'm going to start now. Welcome everyone to our YouTube live today. It's a it's not a super sunny sun. Pardon?
Can you hear me on my side?
I think you're lagging a bit, Aska.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, now okay, is
How
that
was it now?
better?
Yeah,
Okay, all right, it's smooth now. Okay, that's good. All right, let's start then.
sure.
Let's start again. Okay, for anyone who was in here earlier, so sorry about that. So, welcome to the YouTube live with the inner link and with Aska. All right, it's a nice Saturday. Thank you for taking 1.5 hours out of your Saturday to sit here and watch us. The goal for today's YouTube is essentially to bring a bit more awareness or to shed a bit more light on how you can become a counselor, mainly in Malaysia, and we'll touch a little bit on like internationally, as well as to introduce InnerLink and the services that we do offer you and what you can actually get from coming to see us, and how we also tend to work with the student and academic community. Now, today's episode, for those of you who perhaps have missed the ads earlier, we are having our guest today, who is Aska, our trainee counselor. And she is currently doing her internship with us, and she is a student at Monash University, Malaysia. So she is doing the Masters of Professional Counseling there, which is one options that will come up later. Today, she's going to be sharing with us her personal and her professional journey as a trainee counselor here. And today we are actually just providing the platform for her to speak to us and share her experiences, basically, so that you get to know the good things and you get to know the difficult things. I wouldn't say negative things, but really the not so easy things about being a counselor here and how you would go about it. We hope that this will then give the audience maybe a deeper understanding of what you can expect if you choose to pursue this profession, or maybe what options are available to you if you are already pursuing it, and what you can do in the future. So the subject today is very much tailored, or at least very suitable to undergraduate students especially, or for those who are interested in pursuing a master's program, for example, the one in Monash in counseling, or for anyone who is just interested in her own experience in this particular field. So I myself am a registered and licensed counselor with the Inner Link. My name is Eileen, and I have been with the Inner Link for about a year. I did my internship here, and then I now work as an associate counselor here. For those of you who are not familiar with Inner Link, we are located at Publica, and we are a very open-minded, very neutral center. So we then welcome all manner of kinds from all denominations and all classifications and minorities. So please don't feel as if we are trying to segregate any of you. We are always happy to welcome any of you here. We provide counseling, we provide psychological assessments, and many other things as well. We do have a variety of therapists and therapies available for you, such as art therapy, music therapy, and much more. And you may also opt to choose for physical or online sessions, so we are not limited to just one. Monthly, if this is a concern for you, we do also provide mental health screenings as well as HIV STD testing, which is free. So no money out, it's free. You can just come and give it a try. We also, such as this live talk, we do hold regular talks and workshops featuring different members of the unit to provide a variety of knowledge for all of you, especially our loyal viewers who would probably have been here more than once. Aska herself will be having a stress relieving workshop, which is called Transforming Your Inner Chaos into Calm and Serenity. And this will be taking place on the 25th of November, which is a Saturday, between 2 to 4 p.m. It is 30 ringgit per person, but if you bring a friend, it is 50 ringgit for the both of you combined. Now, you can feel free to learn more about our activities and about our center itself at our social media page and our website. So I think I've taken up quite a bit of time, and poor Aska has been waiting for me to finish. Aska, why don't you take this time to introduce yourself to the viewers? Tell us a bit about yourself.
Yeah, sure. So first of all, thank you, Eileen, for inviting me as a guest for today in the live platform. So let me introduce myself again. So my name is Aska Chen, and I come from Hong Kong, and I raised and born in Hong Kong as well. And then I study my degree in Taiwan. I actually study translation, and mainly is Chinese and English, but I chose technology as my major translation categories. And then after I graduate from Taiwan, and actually I worked for a few years in Hong Kong as well as an ISO consultant, and also I also work for an insurance company as well. But I figure that it's not really my interest. So after that, I pursue my master degree in Malaysia, and I chose Monash at that time. But at that time, it's also during pandemic as well, so it will be a little bit like difficult for me. But at that time, I also why I chose Monash is also because I also had a dream that I really want to get into like top 100 university education inside of Asia. So that's why at the end I chose Monash, and that's why now here I am in Malaysia.
Right. It's quite an interesting journey. So you done translation and then you came all the way here from Taiwan
Yeah,
to pursue
it's true.
counseling. It's quite a journey for you, isn't it? Like it's quite far from home.
Yeah, I would say so. Actually, it's a several transition for me as well, because it's from translation and then from ISO and also from an insurance company, and then at the end I chose to become a counselor. It's a psychology department. So I would say I switched different road on my life as well.
Right. Right. Can I just ask, because a lot of people tend to lump clinical psychologists and counselors together. What made a difference for you between the clinical psychologists and the counselors?
You mean how I see these two different professionals?
Hmm. Yeah.
For me, I do know like clinical psychologists is mainly do like assessment, like the formal assessment, and also like the diagnose from a clinical psychologist. And counselor is mainly at the front line. We do like mainly like talk therapy with different approach, and maybe sometimes we also do some like formal or informal assessment with our clients as well. But it also depends on like which
Mm-hmm.
interested into, because when you get into it, it's quite different as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, what pulled you towards counseling rather than clinical psychology?
I would prefer like having individual conversation with people more rather than like um doing assessment. Because doing assessment for me maybe
Mm,
is a little bit stressful somehow for me. And because I do like the
right.
safe environment and I do like to talk to people deeply, have a deep
Mm,
conversation, maybe that makes the differences. And also maybe my growing up environment as well. So when I was in Hong Kong, actually Hong Kong is really stressful environment, and then most of the people they do need counselor, maybe more than clinical psychologists from my point of view. um, Many people need to talk to someone. Maybe some of them they could talk to like call the hotline, but no one pick up the call because too many people like holding the call on the phone call. So it causes a lot of like mental health disorder in Hong Kong as well. So I think maybe from
mm.
that I would like to become a counselor more than a clinical psychologist.
I see. Okay. So your experience has actually pulled you, in a way, the life that you've had has also kind of
Yeah.
led you towards counseling.
Yes.
That's really interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the pathways to be a counselor in Malaysia. And did you, for yourself, when you were researching this, did you notice any differences between, the process for you as an overseas graduate
Mhm.
to come in and then, trying to obtain this qualification?
Oh, definitely. Because even though it's not Monash, maybe like another university as well, they have the different criteria with international student and local student as well. So maybe for me, international student from Hong Kong, because I'm from Asia, so they do require me to have certain score of from IELTS or maybe from another English test as well. So IELTS is one of it. And then also of course the tuition fee will be different since because I'm not local. And then at that
Mhm.
time, because I came in during pandemic, so I need to apply for so many different letters and also maybe the travel visa as well. uh, it's the special permit like single pass. And also I need to go for the embassy in Hong Kong as well to apply the travel visa at that time. And also um, the of course the acceptance letters is really important to get you through all the process as well. And then you also need to go through the
Mhm.
EMGS process, follow them online, and then you need to check the status from time by time because they will update online. They will not call you or maybe email you. I would prefer you go for the website to check. It's better than like waiting for them to like notice you.
Right. Okay. So you have to be a bit proactive when you do this,
Yeah,
basically.
definitely.
Okay. Can I just ask, because you get a visa to come in to study, correct?
Yeah.
You need to get a visa. Yeah. So how long do they allow you in the visa?
Visa is for
Do you have to reapply later?
it depends actually. So some of my students come from another country, right? For me, Hong Kong, because my course I'm doing full time master degree, so it's two years full time, and
Mhm.
then I apply for 2 years visa and they approve my application. But some of the country you have
Mhm.
to apply each for every year. So each year. So let's say you have 2 years course for full time, but you need to apply it after 1 year. So they will only approve your application for yearly. For me, it's 2 year. I think it's freezing right now. I think it's lagging again. The line is not so strong connect. Oops. Can you hear me by my side? But I cannot see Eileen on my screen, so I think maybe it's the connections issues.
Can you get into the stream yet? Okay, sorry about that. The internet is pretty unstable.
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, Aska. Okay. Right. So coming back to the visa, you mentioned that it's a bit different for each country. Is it like yours? You have a 2-year visa.
Yes.
Okay. I'm sorry. For the viewers, can you all please hold on a second? Yeah, the connection is not doing too well. I'm going to switch off my camera for a second. Aska, you speak and see if it's still smooth.
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Cannot. Hold on. Yes, I can hear you. I I can hear you now. Try
Okay.
again.
So, can you hear me, Eileen?
Yes.
Okay.
Technical issue. So sorry. Please bear. Okay, are you in? I'm in. Okay. Oh, there we Okay, Aska, can you hear me?
Yeah, from my side. Yeah.
Okay, okay, just give me a second
Mm.
because okay, welcome back everyone. So sorry about the interruptions. Right, let me just I think I need to adjust my background. Okay. Okay, so where were we? Welcome back, everyone. Or
We're
we are
talking about
welcoming
the
ourselves
visa,
back
right?
to you. Yeah. So I think we actually lost the connection there where we were talking about how different visas apply to different countries. Does your visa end immediately upon graduation, or do you get like some extra time?
Actually, just like upon my graduation, there's no extra time. So when you going to find your practicum and all the internship, that you need to be careful of that as well. Of course, you can
Mm,
also apply for extension, but it depends on if the immigration or the educational department will approve your application as well.
right. Okay. So talking about that,
Mm,
uh, upon graduation, right?
mm.
Do you intend to practice in Malaysia?
Yes, I do. I do because I'm thinking like as long as I've been here for like around maybe 1.5 to 2 years already, and I'm also
Mm-hmm.
um adapt the Malaysian culture here. So why not I just like start my practice and gain more experience as well.
Okay. And you are aware that in Malaysia we do have to register with the LKM to be licensed, or
Yeah, yeah, I do know the certified like the certification and all the things is different from Hong Kong as well.
okay. What is the difference between Malaysia and Hong Kong's procedure?
I think yes, because like Hong Kong also have the counseling board, and then it
Mm-hmm.
is called Hong Kong Associations of Counseling. So you can just Google it and you can see. But there is a lot of like they will have general membership and also like the professional membership as well. But they also
Mm-hmm.
have a certain kind of requirement to become a certified counselor too.
I see. Okay. Are the requirements different for Malaysia than in Hong Kong? Do you find a big difference in them?
I would say so actually. I would say it's quite a lot of differences as well. So when you
Mm-hmm.
become a certified counselor in Hong Kong, you have to become a general membership for 1 year at least.
Right.
So it means that you have to be like a fellow or maybe a membership or maybe student member at least 1 year. Then you can transfer to a certified counselor. But it's not like only transfer. Become a
Mm-mm.
certified counselor, they also have requirement as well. So they also have a list of the university they recognize. So if your university is out of that list,
Right.
or maybe on that list, then you are not recognized as part of the council as well. And then you also have to do certain
I see.
hours
So it's
after you
quite strict.
graduate. Sorry, say again.
Mm. Okay. No, I say it's quite strict. It sounds very strict in comparison.
It does. It does. And also certain of the modules that you need to study in your program as well. If your program do not have those certain modules that they require, then it's also fail part of the requirements as well.
I see. Okay. So that's Hong Kong. Can you tell us a bit about what you've learned about the requirements for Malaysia, as a student who is doing your degree here?
Okay, so for LKM and for my personal experience, so after you graduate, then you need to apply for interview. But because I'm an international student. So before that, I need to get an employment letter from Malaysia first to schedule my
Mm-hmm.
interview, and then once after you interview, and then it's not so. I would say maybe wait maybe around 1 to 6 months. It depends. It depends on how's the workload and how many people apply for the interview as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then after that, then you will get your license number, and then you can become a licensed counselor, if I'm not
Right.
mistaken.
Okay.
And all the
Okay.
policies change.
Right. So, what are the hours that you have to collect to qualify to apply to LKM?
So for me, for my school, it's based on, so different university have different requirement as well. So you need to
Mm-hmm.
check for, let's say if you're studying Monash, so you need to check for Monash requirement and rules. And let's say if you study another university, you also check with them as well. And then for me, practicum, it requires 100 contact hours. And
Mm-hmm.
then for the internship, it requires 200 contact hours. And also, of course, non-contact hours is also required as well. For practicum, it's
Mm-hmm.
200 non-contact hours, and then for
Mm-hmm.
internship is 312 300. Of course, more non-contact hours will be benefit for you because you're also reading more and then learning more in your journey as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Did you find while you were conducting your practicum and then now you're in your internship, do you find differences in the clientele that you get?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I was doing my practicum in Monash, because I'm doing my practicum on campus, but we are
Mm.
also taking outsider as well. But of course,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm doing my practicum on campus, mainly the client group will be student. But when I'm doing my internship, because it's outside and off campus, it's doing at the center or maybe in other
Mm-hmm.
places. So it will be more outside and from people from different walks of life as well. It's not mainly
Right.
student anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did you find any particular type of client that you had more difficulty handling than others?
From now on, I don't feel that way. I don't really feel very
Mm-mm.
challenging and or maybe very difficult for me. It
Mm.
also because I didn't expose myself to different or maybe all of the different aspects in counseling as well. Maybe certain kind of population are having have the chance to get in touch with them. So maybe I didn't find the difficulties at the moment.
Right. Okay. So was it difficult for you to get a internship position when you finished your practicum?
To be honest, yes, it's quite competitive. And then, it's not only Monash have like the counseling program as well, and also another university in Malaysia also having the counseling program. So people are looking for the internship vacancy. And then because we need to collect 200 hours, and it's hard for just only find one site to secure all the hours in, yeah, at one place.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say it's quite competitive as well.
Right. Right. So it was quite tough for you then.
Yes, I would say so.
Oh, how was your experience as a counseling student? Now you're already in internship, so you're actually almost done. But how was the student journey like for you?
Mm, to be honest, it was quite tough and difficult because, when I was studying in Taiwan, it's all Chinese, and studying like teaching and all the homework is like Chinese based, and also have language barrier as well. When I first came to Malaysia, I would feel like, yes, I can speak English, I can read English, but I don't really speak English at a daily basis. So it's kind of like hit me quite badly when I came to Malaysia. And I would feel when I start to adapt like the new environment or maybe the school life in Malaysia is quite different when I was in Taiwan, and when I maybe study in Hong Kong as well. And but most importantly, I think it takes time to just adapt a new culture. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
Right. Did you find anything that helped you cope with the culture shock, that helped you along the way to adapt to the culture? Because it is a very big difference for you, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it does. Actually, my classmate and then also and all the lecturers are so supportive and helpful as well. And then some of the students they also like help me to understand the maybe the teaching, the course, the lessons, or maybe the assignment as well. And they also give me like some advice or maybe suggestions on how I can like get to know more about like psychology. So since because my degree is not psychology, so it takes some time to learn, you know, learn from the beginning.
Right, right. So it's quite tough to when you're starting from the basics.
Yeah, it does.
So tell me a bit about now that you're interning, right? You normally have to choose a therapeutic approach when
Yeah.
you start practicing, right? So what
Mhm.
did you choose, and for what reason did you choose it?
Actually, I chose PCT, person-centered therapy. And to be honest, at that time, when I chose PCT, I was not very familiar with that approach. But I do know this approach is aligned with my value. And I feel like it's more comfortable, or maybe I'm more confident to use this approach to my client at that beginning stage. And because we need to learn like different techniques or maybe different approach when we were studying in Monash. But at the same time, of course, it's really hard to pick up all the approach and being very skillful at a very short period of time. So I chose PCT at that time too as like base techniques at that time to practice.
So now that you've practiced it for a little while now, how do you
Mm.
feel about PCT, or do you feel like there are any other or theoretical orientations that you may be interested in pursuing?
Yeah, of course, it's not one size fit all, right? So I cannot just like use PCT to different clients with different issues. So of course, I will also like imply some CBT techniques, but not CBT based. Some
Mhm.
maybe uh down narrow techniques, part of the CBT approach, but it's mainly PCT based. But I will feel like if I use PCT, it
Mhm.
does require lots of patience to myself and also to my client as well. Cannot be rushed because the
Mhm.
record is really important as well.
Yes, it's true. Repo is probably one of the main things. Do
Yeah.
you have remember any particular kind of obstacles that you encountered as a counseling student? Was there anything that stood out to you as like, particularly difficult for you as a student?
Particularly difficult. Um,
Or anything that was more challenging than most other things that you were going through?
I think maybe facing myself is part of the things that I feel difficult as well because PCT is also talking about uh, congruency, right? So if I'm not congruent with myself, it's also hard for me to practice PCT as well with my client. So of course, everyone have their own problems, and of course, I'm a therapist, but that doesn't mean that I don't have any problems, right? So I also have
True.
I also have to face my own problems. And then when you see your clients, you see like some similarity from your clients' issues and compare to yourself. Sometimes I feel hard to like of course you need to be calm and then be there for your clients and then like put away my emotion and feelings at that time first. I think this will be uh, the difficulties throughout my counseling journey.
Okay, so the ability to not let ourselves maybe be too influenced by our own clients because we
Yeah.
relate to them so well, right? You see bits of you
Yes.
in what they're doing. What do you enjoy about the counseling degree? What parts of it was enjoyable for you in this journey that you're doing?
Enjoyable. I think every time I talk to my clients, I think it's just a
Mhm.
general thing. I wouldn't say they have like particularly something I really like or I really enjoy, but the
Mhm.
whole process I see clients and I see my clients like getting better every time I see them. Even though of course people have ups and downs, right? Although they have ups and downs, and I when I see them really consist with their sessions and also really committed to the therapy, I think that's also feel joyful and happy for them as well. and myself. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right. Okay. So that's great. I mean, it's so do you find that this is more prominent throughout the internship, or do you see this in your practicum as well?
How to say?
So it's like, do you find that the when you're talking about, being able to see your clients get better with the
Yeah.
time, as I understand practicum is quite limited in the time that you get with your clients. So do you
Yes.
get to see that with them, or is it more obvious with your internship clients?
I think it's more obvious in the internship because when I practice more, then you can see the changes like more in a detailed way. It's because when I was
Mm-hmm.
made my practicum, I still have lots of things need to improve or maybe need to pay attention to. At that time, I was like kind of like beginner, right? I'm still a beginner right now, learning, but I can pay attention to the changes or maybe the differences throughout my journeys and through my client as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, right. Do you feel any different, or do you think that, bits of you have changed throughout the journey? Because as you mentioned, PCT requires a lot of reflection, a lot of
Yeah.
congruency. So you have
Mhm.
to own up to a lot of things. You cannot pretend you
Yes.
can't see them. Do you
I
feel like
think
you've changed?
yes. I think certain part of me did change, to be honest. And but of course in a positive way. Because I do of course I do have some of the like maybe problems or issues that I don't want to face when I was young. I want to
Mm-hmm.
avoid. But somehow when I meet some of my clients, the problem is just like suddenly show up, then I cannot just turn my blind eye and then I just, oh no, I don't want to see anything. Cannot. But I think it's also a good change as well. So at the end, I reflect and I also face my problems
Mm-hmm.
and turns me. I wouldn't say become a better person, but I would say I understand about myself.
Yeah. So in a way, it gives us more resiliency.
Yeah.
So what do you find motivates you to continue pursuing counseling? What's your main motivations?
Main motivations. I would say actually, like I said, I enjoy having a deep conversation with people individually, and then when I see I can help those people out in this counseling journey, I feel content. I feel like I'm doing something, and I'm also um, how to say understanding more about myself from like get that's what I get out from the session as well.
Mm, okay. Right. I think it sounds like, because this seems to be a common factor for most counselors, in that we
Yeah,
get the satisfaction of doing it
yeah.
one on one. It also shows that a lot of us have to be very open to self reflection, to be able to acknowledge when you're not doing that great.
Yes.
Throughout the journey, have you had any experiences which left a lasting impression on you? Like anything that you would consider a milestone, or just something like a very strong memory of your experience throughout this journey?
Mm, you mean like any kind of like experience that have like maybe like kind of unforgettable?
Hmm. Yes.
I think maybe when I was looking for the internship site, I think at one point, to be honest, I did thinking about like why I don't just give up. I do feel disappointed sometimes because of the like I said, it's really competitive. And but when I think about I already came away that far and then until now. So why would I just give up at this moment? Because I maybe at this moment I couldn't find any like vacancy or maybe like position. So I think after a while I just like okay, I calm myself down and then I would just like okay, let's do it again, begin again. I think at that time, I think it's quite unforgettable for me because I do really like the journey, like become a counselor. But of course, it's just like tough and difficult. But sometimes it also brings you happiness as well.
Right. Yeah. The internship placements are always a challenge to any
Yes.
student. So as you mentioned, it's competitive. It's hard to get sometimes, and some if you come in a bit later, it is tougher.
Yeah.
So for yourself, what advice would you give for any of the students in Malaysia who would like to start, pursuing a counseling degree? What kind of advice would you give them?
I think maybe for international student or maybe for anyone that they want to pursue their degree, counseling degree in Malaysia, I think first questions you need to think about like so why would you pick Malaysia? So would you be after you graduate, would you stay in Malaysia to practice your license? So is can you adapt the culture? And then I would say if you can stay in Malay, that would be an advantage to stay in Malaysia to become a counselor as well. And then the lifestyle, and then the the prospects. What kind of counselor you want to become, like school counselor or maybe working in a private counseling center. So is that fit your align with your value, and or maybe you can adapt or feel comfortable with this environment as well.
Mm, okay. What would you advise for international students who are coming into Malaysia? What things do you think they would have to look out for before applying to the university of their choice?
I think always, let's say if you pick up the university that you want to go, then always keep yourself updated, being proactive to check that anything's informations or maybe any material that you need to prepare, because different countries can go to Malaysia have different document as well. So I can't say because I come from Hong Kong, so all of the document is like A, B, C, D, E, and then another student maybe come from the UK, and then they will have the same procedure on the same documentation. No, that's not a thing. So you keep yourself updated, and also ask for the maybe embassy or maybe also the EMGS in Malaysia, and to see if they need you to like provide any supporting document. I think they actually they respond quite fast. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a good thing to keep yourself updated, and the how's the application status as well.
Right. Okay. Okay. So for yourself, because you mentioned that you are interested in working in Malaysia after your graduation,
Yes.
when we talk about career prospects, there are a number of different ways that could be applied to. For
Yeah.
yourself, do you have any ideas of like how you would like to continue?
I think after I graduate, I will try to schedule an interview with LKM first. To of course, I need to get a license, right, to become a counselor. And then after that, I will see. For me, I would prefer to work for a private center. So school counselor, I'm not sure about that because I have no experience of that, but I'm open to try. But for me, I would prefer work as a counselor in a private counseling center. Yeah.
So that is very interesting. And just for anyone who is wondering, with a counseling degree in Malaysia and after being licensed by LKM, you do have various options open to you. Like Aska's pursuit, you can work in a private center. You can also then try to apply for positions with maybe nonprofit organizations. It depends on your purpose in getting the job. So some people work and they try to get training, further training under EAP, which is the HRD, the Human Resource Department's kind of like training. So you can do employee assistance programs, which means that you can then attach with a center which provides that. Or if you can market yourself, you can actually apply to be maybe a counselor attached to a certain corporation and essentially be their in-house counselor for their employees. That's one thing you could do. You could also pursue other related professions like school counselors. That's also something that's open to you. International schools, especially, tend to invite counselors in. But again, much like the internship, positions are competitive. So it's good if you can keep a lookout for open positions for yourself. So those are career prospects for that. It's not as limited as it seems, but again, it depends on what you want to do. So it's mainly having to be able to, one, be adaptive. So can you do it online? Can you do it by phone? What is your particular specialties? Like, Are you a
Yeah,
general
everyone's
counselor?
interest. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
Do
think
you
it's
want
important.
to grief and language? Language is important. For example, Aska, can you speak Mandarin?
Yeah, I can speak Mandarin, and of course, I can also speak Cantonese as well because it's my native tongue. But I cannot speak Malay, so everyone can speak Malay. Go for it.
So if you speak Malay, you get a different set of clientele. In Aska's case, she gets a different set because she can then appeal to the Chinese speaking community in Malaysia. At the same time, she is also able to, if she wishes, to open herself to online counseling for overseas Chinese speaking clientele. So,
Mm,
if people don't want to talk to someone in Hong Kong, they can talk to you. People in China don't want to talk to
um,
people in China, they can talk here. So that is something that is open. So again, depending on what skill sets you bring along with your degree,
yeah, I
that
agree with
really
you.
does affect your career prospects.
Yeah.
So let's go into a little bit of the Q&A, right?
Mm-hmm,
There's some
okay.
questions for you. As an international student, we talked a bit about this just now when you're talking about how you applied. But what was your own experience when you were applying to the program? Was it very tough for you?
Actually, you mean so when I apply for the program, so like I said, it depends on university by university, and then it is not really difficult, but you have to pay attention to the deadline. And then when's the intake? Because it's usually they started the applications quite early. Let's say if
Mm,
because my intake is on March, yeah, my intake is on March. So at that time, but when I apply for that intake, I need to prepare like maybe 6 months before. Then I need to gather all the informations and gather all the documentation I need to turn it in.
mm-hmm.
I also need time to like to sending you, giving you an email back like, oh, will I have an interview with you, or maybe not. So it I would prefer to do it earlier.
Right. So earlier is better. Did you find that because yours was during the COVID period,
Mm.
did you
I think it's
notice there were extra steps for you, is it?
yeah, yeah, because it's during pandemic, so they have extra document as well.
Mm,
So yeah, like a vaccination record and yeah, all the things, the single pass visa, and then you need to provide so many documents that you're safe to go into Malaysia as well.
right. Okay. So what do you think international students should keep in mind in general when they are applying? So one thing you mentioned was to apply early,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is to keep updated, right? Is there anything else you think they should look out for or should keep in mind?
I think at the moment maybe not. I think that's pretty much it. These two are quite important already because sometimes based on the environment change, the policy will change as well. So keep
Mm-hmm.
yourself updated. It's really important.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about the selection of the university itself?
Selection. Actually, to be honest, you mean when you're looking for counseling program, right? So you mean they have certain different university also have the same program as well. And for me, I chose Monash is because first it's an international university, and since because I come from Hong Kong, so I would prefer to choose an international university for myself. Let's say if I go back to Hong Kong to practice, it's just for me to introduce myself or practice there as well. And also, like I said, need to think about after you graduate from that university, any kind of certifications or maybe experiences that you can gain from that university as well. Sorry, I can't hear you because you're.
Sorry, I forgot about that. So, if a student, in your opinion, if a student perhaps has a mental health issue, but they would like to pursue a career in counseling,
Mm-hmm.
what would you say about that? What would you say to them?
I mean, why not? Because everyone have their experiences, right? Everyone have their past, but it doesn't mean that you are not fit to become a counselor. And then if you don't try, you will never know.
True, true. I think to elaborate a bit more on that is to really, as we mentioned earlier, and Aska has also mentioned, when you are a counselor, you're going to run up against clients who will probably remind you of a lot of things that you have
Yes.
experienced or you may have been ignoring, or you're just not ready for, and that is something that you have to be very prepared for. Clients tend to be a reflection of ourselves a lot of the time. So
Mm-hmm.
there's always that danger that you will start to bond too strongly with the
Yeah.
issue that they're having and you lose that objectivity. So for myself, what I would actually add on to what Aska says is I wouldn't rule it out completely. However, I would advise that if you do find that you have an issue which tends to affect you strongly, uh, you would benefit from actually seeing a counselor while you are pursuing your degree. It will
Mm-hmm.
benefit you in the long run before you start seeing clients. I would also advise that you would continue to see the counselor while you're seeing clients, because your supervisor can help you with certain things, but they're not going to be there as your counselor. So the
Yeah, I
issues
agree.
that you're going to have to work through is difficult.
Yeah. Because it's also like a supervising and supervisor's relationship. It's not like a counseling and the client's relationship. That will be a different dynamic as well. So if you do like struggle with certain kind of mental health issues, that like seeing counselor for yourself. So why not? If it helps, it helps.
Yeah, the I think the one of the things that we have to remember is if you're going to come into the counseling profession,
Yes.
you can't be ashamed of seeing a counselor, because that is actually one of the things which is advisable if you are in the mental health profession. It is good once in a while to check in with another mental health practitioner just to make sure
Mm-hmm.
that you are mentally healthy.
Yes. If you are not calm or stable, then it's really hard to continue the session as well.
It's true. It's true. You're not half as effective after that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Aska, if someone came to you, right, and they're looking for a mental health professional, they're seeking help, but they don't
Mm.
know where to go, they don't know what to do. Like, what would
Mm.
you recommend them to do to take their first steps towards seeking help?
I think at first we need to address the issues at first. So, why you want to go for counseling, and what kind of issues that you are looking for, and what kind of help that you are looking for. Let's say if you are facing family issues, so we prefer that you can read through the counselor's profile if they are specialized in family issues, or maybe you are facing relationship issues. Let's say if they're specialized in that as well, and then also maybe it depends on your subject as well. So different different center have different um, charges. So it depends on which kind of like um, sessions that you're looking for, which kind of professional you're looking for, and then also maybe um, yeah, maybe thinking about therapy. Maybe you can think about like if you tend to keen on like art therapy, music therapy, or individual therapy. So which kind of approach that you feel like more comfortable with? Let's say if you're like a layman, or I would recommend you to read through the profile and let's see which counselor fit you well. But if you're like more like a psychology student, or maybe a familiar with psychology, maybe you can look for the approach as well.
True. That's a good point. A lot of a lot of counselors do write their approaches, or at least what they follow, in the profiles of their websites. However, for a lot of people who are not well versed in the profession, it doesn't really mean much to them except until they experience it to know what styles they follow. So for those of you who are new or who are thinking about it, don't be ashamed to come in and basically give it a try. You
Mm-hmm.
get to change your counselors. You don't have to stick with the counselor that you've chosen if you
Yeah.
find that the approach doesn't suit you. Because the main thing is the rapport must be there, first of all. So you have to be able to trust your therapist. And if you find that you're not comfortable with them, you won't be able to proceed further than that. So again, I really just like give it a try first. If you find that, oh, okay, they look okay and I want to try, then by all means just give it a one-off. Then if you want to come back, you come back. But if you
Yes.
don't be afraid. You don't have to make excuses, you don't have to explain yourself. We we understand that sometimes we just don't fit, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we're coming to the last of our set questions before we move on to the questions in the comments. Aska, tell us a little bit about how you came to the inner link. Like, how did you find this?
And actually, I know Innoling is because my senior recommend me, and then I read through the website, and then read through about like the founder, Gia, and then
Mm-hmm.
I do align with her values, and also like having an open and safe space, and then
Mm-hmm.
I also respect all of the clients coming different walks of their life, and then it's not only target for certain population, but they also serve all of the population as well. And
Mm-hmm.
then after I talked to Gia, because of course she interviewed me, so I think Gia is quite open mind, and then she also let me to be myself, and also like bring some ideas to like what kind of aspects or area of interest that I want to develop or maybe want to know more, and then she also so supportive as well.
Right. So she had, yeah, Gia is a very supportive individual. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone in the inner link can actually agree with that. So how
Yeah,
have you found the internship experience here so far?
I think it's quite flexible to be honest. And then I can learn a lot count, from the counselor and from my colleagues and from GIA as well. And then they
Mm-hmm.
also provide with different perspective. And then also can let me experience or expose myself to different population as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I'm glad it sounds like you're still having a very good learning experience here.
Yeah.
All right. So that's done with our set questions. Let's have a look at any questions from the audience. Let me see. Okay, we have one question here. Would you mind
Yeah.
sharing some tips to nail an interview with LKM and internship placement? So I will take the LKM question, but Aska, I will leave the internship placement to you since it's
Okay.
fresher for
So
you.
the LKM interview, I will leave it to you. So for me, replacement, I think for me, first you need to ask about yourself. Any kind of like area of interest that you really want to dedicate yourself into. Like maybe you're interested in maybe family therapy. So maybe you can look for certain center or maybe internship place is like they are specialized in that. Then you can also learn a lot from their supervisor as well. And when we talk about supervisor, you also need to pay attention if the internship placement do they provide you a supervisor, on-site supervisor, or they don't. Or maybe if you're an international student, and then you need to think about the transportation as well. Is this too far away from your working place, or maybe how many days they need you to commit? Is this a full time or a part time? So it depends on how many like the workload that you can take. And then I think most importantly, and is what kind of experience that you want to get out from the internship, because internship is only for collecting 200 hours. But I do understand that 200 hours is quite a lot actually, but at the same time, I do know that also the student do want to use this opportunity to understand more about yourself and what you're good at and what you are not really open to try. Maybe
Mm.
you can, from that, and you can gain some perspective for yourself. I hope it helps.
Yeah, I do agree. It is true. Like where you apply does relate a lot to like where your interest is, because if you're not interested in doing family therapy and you end up interning at a family therapy space, or that's where their main focus is, it's going to be difficult because the focuses and the approach is different when you do an individual as compared to a child or compared to a couple or compared to a family or a group.
Yeah.
So you have to understand what you want to do and then narrow it down from there. I think just to add on, you can actually start looking at internship places early. It's always good to know the seniors or the cohorts beforehand, because usually sometimes there are hand-me-down position. So you can actually talk to them about when they're leaving, and if it coincides with when you want to start, it's good to know that you can put in your application a bit early, or at least reach out a bit earlier to ask if you may get a position there. So that's
Also
something
reach
that
out to your senior as well. Can if you have senior to like go to a certain kind of NGO or maybe center, then or you're also interested in it, go to talk to them. I'm
mm,
sure they were happy to share the experience with you as well.
yeah. So most seniors are pretty good at that. Most of us do try to like it's like try to pass on the legacy, but we do try to like leave up and let them know like when vacancies open, because we do understand that it can be very, very daunting, and it can be quite difficult if you wait too late. So it's not that you won't get it, but you might sometimes get it too late. And that basically what happens is it delays your graduation, because then you either have to rush and really
Mm-hmm.
push. So you may have to try to find like two or three places to do it at once. If not means,
Mm.
then you would have to apply for an extension, and you may miss the original graduation date.
Yeah. Also, one more thing is really important. I'm so sorry. And you need to also take care of yourself because you need to know your capacity. If you, I mean, of course, you can find four sites at the same time, but can you handle that much of the sites at at the same time? I think you need to ask about the questions to yourself because I'm sure that you don't want to burn out.
Yep.
So this is a good way to look for as well. I'm sorry,
That's a
Ali.
very good point. No, that's a very good point. It's something that counselors always have to keep in mind, which is the burnout. You also have to remember, like, it's okay if, say, one day in a week you're seeing back to back maybe 6 to 8 clients, but is it something that you can do for 6 days a week?
Yeah.
Right? The mental toll. We're not talking about just the physical toll, but the mental toll of seeing so many people and having to go through so many issues every day of
Mm-hmm.
the week is very, very difficult. And it's something that you really have to think about. Are you going to take this on, and will you be able to function in long term like this?
Yeah, sure.
So
Of course.
moderation is key. I think in terms of LKM interviewing, uh, the interview itself, from my experience, now my experience was, I think, for those who those of you who do not know, LKM has recently had a board reshuffle because their president has changed from the old one. And my experience was with the old board, not the new one. So, what I can tell you from what I experienced was that, one, when you have finished your internship and it has been approved by your supervisors and you can get a full academic transcript, you can apply first for the interview. So, you can apply earlier to attend the interview. You don't have to wait for your graduation. That's one thing. Two,
Mhm.
if you are not sure about the forms that you need, please do contact the LKM staff. They are very helpful, and they are very, very happy to help you. The only thing I would have to tell you is please be patient, because each department of the LKM department has only one staff handling it. So your applications and your interviews are being arranged by one person. The CPD points review is being handled only by one person, which means that they are severely understaffed, and it is a bit tough to get in contact with them. But when you do manage to get them, they are very friendly and they are very, very helpful. So just ask them what you need. You can reconfirm with them. Barring that, you can also check in with your seniors. They will also have documents. They should be able to advise you on what is happening with the board currently. The most recent ones I've heard from my cohort mates who have recently took the interview is that they're still very pretty friendly. They do it in groups. I would say that for yourself, go in and be your natural self. Be sincere. They don't need you to be overly formal, and they don't need you to be overly chatty. So definitely keep your responses concise, precise, and informative. If they ask you things like, why did you choose this particular theoretical orientation, just keep the answer short, just say like, oh, maybe it aligned with my values and stuff like that. But you do not have to explain the orientation itself to them. These people
Mm-hmm.
already know what it is. They don't expect you to do that. You will be sharing your interview with maybe five other people in one room, and
Mm-hmm.
there would be more than 30 to 60 of you in a day. So you want to
Does
keep it short.
I'm
Hmm?
sorry. How long does
What
it
was it?
take for the
Um,
interview? Interview?
so the interview when I attended, well, most of the time when we attended, it's quite short. Most of us who attended it is quite short. But because the groups are big, if you happen to find one or two group members who speak a lot, it can get longer.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I would say like if you wanna nail your interviews with LKM, one, make sure all your documents are in place because they won't be able to schedule you for an interview if you're missing anything. So
Mm-hmm.
make sure everything is done and dusted, and then they will interview you. When you go in, of course, presentation is key. Make sure you're dressed neatly. You don't have to be super formal, but if you can, just dress well, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when you speak to them, as I mentioned, be clear with your answers. You can be clear, you can be friendly, and keep things short. Don't have to be long and chatty because they don't need that and they don't expect it of you. Um,
Okay.
yeah, the questions I found this time round with the new board have deviated from the old pattern. So they don't ask the same old questions anymore. We used to have a set of questions. They don't do that
Mm-hmm.
anymore. So they ask like other questions. But again, from what I've heard, it's not always about counseling. It's not always just about the theoretical orientation. So sometimes it sounds like casual chatting as well. So I think
Mm-hmm.
they a lot of times they just want to get a feel of you as a counselor, of your personality, your attitude. So when you're going in there, like I said, main thing is please be your natural self. You just be sincere and be honest, and they'll be fine. They're
Okay.
not scary. Don't worry. They're not like the normal interviewers, who will like as if they're gonna pick faults with you. They're not. They have a very
Okay. So
comfortable atmosphere.
would you mind to tell us that is that you use English to interview or you use Malay?
So my interview was in English, and I think if I remember correctly, a couple of my international cohort mates also had it in English. So basically, for those who can speak in Malay, they may speak to them in Malay. But if you make it very clear that you can't speak Malay, you can speak in English because
I see.
the majority of counselors in Malaysia speak English.
Okay.
So
Because
so
if
yeah.
I'm not mistaken, so for my cohort, I think it's from my cohort. So if you're a local student in Malaysia, so they would interview you with Malay. But if you're an international student, they will use English to interview you. So need to keep yourself update to the updated policy from LKM and your university as well. Do check them out because
Mhm.
policies can change from time to time based on the environment change and yeah.
Okay, that's true. I also have a word of advice for those of you who maybe have traveled, so you're local, but if your parents are perhaps the type to have to relocate during your school years, and you've gone to international school, so you don't speak Malay, you come back
Mm,
speaking English, but your nationality is Malay, you can also speak in English. We've had a couple of them just recently, so please do not be overly concerned. They are very accommodating and they are understanding of the fact that even if your IC says Malaysian, you tell them like I cannot speak Malay, they're okay. They're not going to penalize you for that.
okay,
They
that's
won't
good to know.
force you to do it. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Are there any other questions or do you require any other elaborations, Michelle Lee? No problem. I hope it
Welcome.
helps.
Yeah, I hope it helps as well.
So if anyone else has any questions you'd like answering, please do leave it in the chat. We do have some time left. So just like wait around, let you talk. So Aska, is there anything else you'd like to know about the LKM while we're waiting, or
Um,
you're not
what about
sure
the
of?
life? I do know that the license need to renew every 2 years, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay. So
I am, yep.
is it same as international student as well?
So I'm not sure, but I'm under the impression that it's the same. This would
Mm-hmm.
probably best be reconfirmed with LKM themselves. But as far as I know, it should be
Mm-hmm.
2 years because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for LKM to handle.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay.
So as far as I understand, it's 2 years to renew the license, whether you're local or international. But this could change. This could be changed. So again,
Mm-hmm.
keeping abreast of like what LKM is doing is a good idea because, as I mentioned, they just changed the board head
Mm-hmm.
especially. So I'm not sure if there are any new changes coming in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How
So
long
that's
is
something.
that after you get your after you interview with
How
LKM?
long?
How long? Yeah,
Uh,
for you to take your license.
Let me see. I took mine in November. So it took mine two, about two to 3 months for mine.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
But again, we had a special situation because we were part of a huge backlog of counseling students.
Mm.
You know,
Okay.
we were part of that pile up from COVID. So
Mm-hmm.
so they were processing a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that it's different. It was different previously, where it was like just 1 month after the
Okay.
interview earlier on. So I don't know if that may go back to that. Okay, let's see another question.
Okay.
Do you have any experience with local counselors that have migrated overseas? What are the requirements? Okay, personally, I have none, but I do know that requirements, if you're talking about being eligible to practice, it's actually dependent on the country you are migrating to.
Mm.
So So the Monash Professional Masters, right, is, as Aska mentioned, it's an international university, so it's actually accepted in Australia, which means that I can use the masters and she can use the masters to apply for membership with the ACCA, which is the Australian Counselling
Mm-hmm.
Board in Australia, and of which then we can practice in Australia. However, you have to look at the different requirements for whichever country you're going to because there may be certain things that you are missing. I do know of a counselor who did their counseling overseas and they did practice and then they came back to Malaysia. But because when they came back to Malaysia, the degree that they had was actually missing key components from what
Mm.
was required of LKM. They actually came to Monash to make up for those components
Mm.
before they could apply for license. So basically, it depends on the country you're going to. For example, if you're going to places like the US, each state has their own licensing rule. So again, you have to look at that. Same thing for Canada. I think Britain is a bit more streamlined, but again, they have similar but also some different criterias. So even the Monash degree that we have here, this masters, we have an extra component which was required by LKM, which if you do in Australia, they don't have. So very dependent on the country you're going to. And the requirements will be listed out on basically whatever controlling board they have there.
Yeah, same here, like same here as me, because like let's say if I practice back in Hong Kong and then I need to follow the counseling board in Hong Kong as well. And then you also yeah, like you said, in some of the modules that require that you need to take in when you were studying in your course. And then I don't have any local counselor and then they migrate overseas, to be honest. And it's more likely I'm an international student, then maybe I will go back to my own country.
Perhaps one of the things sometimes what certain countries do have is they have a kind of like a exemption where if your degree is maybe not recognized or it is lacking, right? They take into account the number of years you have practiced to offset it. So they have a kind of like either or kind of requirement, but that's not for every country. For example,
Mm,
I'm not sure if Hong Kong will allow you to come in and get a license immediately, or whether they're going to have to like relicense you again.
mm-hmm.
So
To be honest, need to check up as well because requirement could change.
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's basically it, Shell. There is no hard and fast rule about the migration and the requirements. It really depends on where you're going to, which country, and then what they want from you.
Mm. I hope I hope we answer your questions.
If you have any questions, feel free. Okay, don't worry whether it's the last question or not. We're here to answer as best we can.
Yes.
So I'd just like to remind anyone here that what we talk about is basically based on our own current experiences. Uh, it could change in the future, or it could change based on your situation. So please do take this more as like a base guideline or an idea of what you have to look for, and then
Mm.
please do your research before you start like doing anything. Don't go and say, oh, but they told me. It's like it's not 100%.
Yeah, sure. Everything will change, right?
I don't want y'all to lead you wrong. Sure, no problem.
No
If you have
worries.
anything else, feel free. Feel free. That's what we're here for. So, Aska, are you the only counselor in your family, or
Sorry?
the only one? Are you the only counselor in your family, or the only one involved in baby health?
Yeah, I'm the counselor in my sorry, I'm the only one counselor from my family because none of my family have certain background.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. To be honest, because in Hong Kong, people knows depressions, anxiety, they know mental health issues, but uh, people not really have a chance, or maybe it's really hard to access into the mental health field as well. So
Mm.
the stigmatization, like let's say if you go for like therapy, people will think, oh, that you're crazy, or maybe you have some problems, and so that's why people just are avoiding to go for therapy or seek for help. So it
Mm-hmm.
makes people also hard to like know more about what is counseling or maybe what is like mental health disorder. And
Mm-hmm.
with that stigma, people will just like maybe fading away.
Mm. Right. Was it different in Taiwan?
Taiwan, to be honest, at that time I didn't really pay attention to at that part because when I was studying in Taiwan, I didn't
Mm.
really figure out myself that I'm really interested in counseling at that time. But
Mm.
overall, I think mm, I don't know because I at that time I didn't really observe that part as well. To be
Right.
honest,
Right. So what was so are you the only one who's working overseas at the moment from your
you
family?
mean? Or yeah, I'm the only one who's like living and studying overseas as well.
Is it
But I think
lonely?
say again.
Is it lonely?
Uh, no, I think it depends on how you see the journey as like
Mm-hmm.
pursuing a master degree. And I think I'm kind of the person like to um, exploring myself and then gain
Mm-hmm.
more experience outside. I think it's not really feeling lonely because I do keep my connections with my family and friends in Hong Kong. And when I was studying in Taiwan, because I studied there for 4 years, so for me, I think that's kind of like giving me certain kind of mental preparation that how's the life living overseas or maybe being by myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so after those 4 years, when I came back to Hong Kong, and then after that, I switched my path to studying counseling in Malaysia. I think it's giving me a good base for that
Mm-hmm.
to have preparation for that. Yeah.
Right. Right. That's great. Okay. So I don't see any other questions, and it's already 3:20 anyway.
Mm.
I think if there is nothing else, we can we can end the live today.
Yeah,
Thank you
sure.
very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your
Thank you
time.
very much for coming. So, just to remind our dear viewers about the inner link and its functions. So, I'm just going to remind you all again, okay? We are basically located in Publica. If you look at the websites, you will notice the address there. So, we are a neutral, open, safe space. So, please feel free to come in. Do not worry, we try our very best to accommodate all walks of life, which basically also includes economic situations. So feel, just try to call us and tell us about your situation first, and we will try to accommodate you as best we can. Please don't let that hold you back from seeking help. Secondly, it's not just counseling sessions which are available. We also have psychological assessments. We have a clinical psych who is attached to us as well, who can also run assessments for you and diagnosis, and many other things which are available. We have alternative forms of therapy, which is music therapy and art therapy. Music therapy being run by our lovely Sandra, who is board certified both in the US and here in Malaysia. And she also has Masters in Professional Counseling as well. So you're in very good hands. We also have Sarah, who is our art therapist, and she got her certification in Singapore. We also offer online and physical sessions. So if you can't make it or you feel uncomfortable coming in person, you may do this with the screen between us. Uh, we have monthly activities, the regular ones being the mental health screening and also the HIV and STI testing. We also have live talks like this one or other workshops regularly where we try to feature different members of our unit so that you may then experience different things. Aska, our lovely Aska today, will be having her stress relieving workshop on the 25th of November, which is a Saturday at 2 to 4 p.m., titled Transforming Your Inner Chaos into Calm and Serenity. It's 30 ringgit per person, 50 ringgit for both you and your friend if you come together. So if you would like to know more about us, what we provide, and what therapies and therapists that we have, please feel free to look at our social media or come and visit our website, The Inner Link. It has been great having all of you here. Thank you very much, Aska, for your time and for
Thank
answering
you for
questions.
having
And thank you to our viewers for sticking out with us this Saturday afternoon. We hope it was informative for you, and I
Yeah, I hope it.
hope that we will see you again. Have a good weekend, all.
Have a nice weekend.